is Mark and Charity Mornings.
Good day.
November 2nd. Second day of November.
I say good morning when I open it. It's like, moron, it could be afternoon when somebody's listening to the podcast. I'm thinking radio, doing podcasts.
Well, and when we do the podcast, it is morning. So that's
right.
That's kind of how it goes.
Hello to you wherever you are. It's the Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. Why do you call it Coffee Podcast? Because we like to play on words of coffee pod and podcast. And it lasts between 15-20 minutes. What would normally be a coffee break. If your coffee break is longer than that, A, I want to work where you work, and 2, you're a slacker.
But we hope that you make us part of your coffee break in the morning as a coffee podcast.
By the way, I'm keeping track. This is podcast number 24, and they said it wouldn't last. On the show this morning, Fire Prevention Officer Brad Reynolds from the city of Belleville with the sexy topic that it's CO2 week.
No, CO.
CO week.
CO. I make that mistake too. I was saying CO2.
I can't keep it straight.
CO2 is carbon dioxide.
Bad.
CO is carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
And that is the focus this week. They really want to hammer it home that we need to get our detectors, our CO detectors, working properly and be careful around the house because, and I can speak from experience. I truly can. This is something that I have come to. When I hear carbon monoxide, it is not something to mess around with.
Silent killer.
It is a silent killer. We had a scare 5 years ago, and like many, you hear your alarm go off, and as they say, when it goes off, you get, especially with smoke detectors, get out of the house. Like that is important. It's been drilled into our heads with smoke detectors. Yeah, you take it seriously. You do. Carbon monoxide, I think is still somewhat new. And I could be wrong.
Right.
But it's just coming in the last maybe 10, 15 years has really become prominent in homes, the detectors and whatnot. So ours went off a few years ago. We have a wood stove. It had gone off before, and it had just been the batteries.
That's the problem.
It had just been the batteries. We called the fire department. They had come and it had just been the batteries. So when it went off again, the urgency wasn't there. And I dragged my heels a little bit and thought, oh, it's 9 o'clock at night. Do I really want to call anybody? Do I really want to wait? My husband was at work. I thought, oh, okay, it's just the batteries. What a pain. And you hear the beeping. And I finally called. And when I called them, it was high enough that you should exit the house anyway. But there was a really good chance that if I hadn't called them and continued to ignore and gone to bed, I would not be here today. And that's the scary part.
According to who? Is that what they told you?
They alluded to that.
They alluded to it.
They didn't come right out and say that.
Yeah.
But it was enough that it scared me enough. I thought, oh my goodness, like this is something you need to take seriously and don't wait. Call the fire department. And as we heard from Brad this morning, we would rather come and it just be battery. We would rather come and look after it and it be something like batteries. Then you not call. Of course you call when these go off. So
I'm a guy. My first thing is, I'm bothering them.
Exactly.
They've got to have some other emergency more important than the fact that I'm getting some beeping in my house. And Brad said, never, ever worry about calling for that.
No.
And my first thought is, I don't want to bother them. Or, I'm going to be a punchline at the Christmas party because I called them and it was nothing.
Yep.
He said, that never happened.
No.
We never think that. Don't think that. Call us if it's going off.
And even now, I feel the heat in my face because I am so embarrassed that I waited as long as I did. I have children in the house with me. We have, I'm in the house.
Right. No, I know what you're saying.
Take it seriously and pay attention to it and get it looked after. And if it's beeping, call. And if it's not beeping, then put new batteries in it. And that's why we check it, of course. Coming up to the time change this weekend, always a reminder for many people. And again, he touched on that.
That was great.
But you should do it maybe more than that through the year. But if not, definitely this weekend.
And as well with the change in the bylaws as far as burning, you can't burn garbage. You got to burn at least 10 to 15 feet away from a structure. Things have been changed. So get online if you're going to do a little bit of late autumn burning in November, which is like burning down your Halloween stuff. I don't know. You can't
and you
do that.
need a permit. You do need to call.
You need a permit.
You need to call and register and let them know that you're going to do this. And that's a big thing. I think people tend to forget to do that sometimes too, and that's not good.
I see a lot of finger pointing in households. Well, I thought he was going to That was his job to call. I didn't. Ma'am, do you have a permit? That was his job.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. So, Brad, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Glad to talk to him all the time. Hope he never has to come to my house.
Exactly. You hope you never meet them in person.
Thank you for all you do. Hope I never see you in the line of work. So thank you for that. So that was going on this morning. We also talked about the word of the year has come out. This makes me laugh.
And it bothered you.
Oh, it does.
It struck a nerve with you, this word. Not because of, I think, the word itself, but the word itself bothered you. The fact that it's considered a word.
First of all, it was released on November the 1st. It's sort of like being in a game where you're so far ahead that we gave up in November. Like you expect the word of the year. Like, couldn't a word slip in late in the year and win? No, it's over.
It's a lock.
And the word of the year is vax, V-A-X, short form for vaccines or vaccination. Noun or verb.
And I think you have a point because it is an abbreviation of vaccination or vaccine. You'd think that it would just be included in that definition.
Right.
But no, it gets its own.
So I'm not sure that, as I said before, whenever I do word games and it's a 5-letter domicile, a 5-letter place where people live starts with C, I don't like the fact that condo is the answer. The correct word is condominium. Like I'm in a real game here. We use short forms and colloquialisms now as legitimate real words. And the fact that they're called colloquialisms is because they're not real words. They're just shortcut words we use because we all get it. Yeah. It's a pop culture term to define.
But is it correct to refer to it as pop culture? Because the English language evolves all the time. And is it not just an evolution of vaccination? Is it not just, instead of calling it an abbreviated form of vaccination, it itself a word now as we evolve, as our language evolves?
Yeah. I'm thinking of the term detox. So you're right. Detoxination center. We just say detox and that's acceptable. People know what it means. So you're probably right, and I'm just being a fuddy-duddy.
I don't know if I'm right. Because there is a part of me that agrees with you. I'm just pointing that out that yes, because our language isn't the same as it was 50 years ago. It's not the same as it was 100 years ago. It evolves and changes as the culture does and as circumstances change. So does our language.
Everything is just going to get shorter. And you know why I think words get shorter?
And
because
easier to type.
We text. Yeah. Like condominium, Dad, condo. Just say vax.
Yeah.
Because we text and we talk when we read out text. And I think you're right. I think that's where we are. I think I needed to think of that. Wish I'd have thought of that this morning on the air. I'm smarter in the podcast than I am on the air. Because I think I just talked myself into why that is. Yeah.
When the podcast happens.
That you're right. You know what? Maybe this is what just occurred to me.
What?
Is that maybe the word of the year, in this case, isn't for reading, it's for hearing and talking. Because it's just a quicker word to communicate. And I always think of it in terms of literature and writing. What word did I see a lot? No, it's what word did you hear a lot, text a lot, social media a lot. And vax is everywhere, not vaccinations. So you're right. That's what it is. I just figured it out. Or at least I figured it out in a way that I can make peace with it. I can make peace with it now.
It can settle.
Now I can justify why it is.
And you can move on from it.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Because that's all I wanted.
Oh, good.
That's all I wanted.
We'd be hearing about this for the next
Man, I wish we had this much time on the radio, which we don't. So vax.
You know what? And that was part of the point of doing a podcast, I think, because we talk it out and we get there. Because as you just pointed out, texting is such it's become a quick and fast way of communicating. Our language is catching up, I find, when you talk to people. Because quite often I need to talk about things in order, as you just said, for them to settle and move on from. And now I can do it even faster because the words are shorter.
I talk in acronyms around the house.
Not just around the house. I've heard you do it here too.
BRB, Dad, you just text that and they get so frustrated with me.
That's what it's going to come to. That is what our language is going to come to. LOL.
LOL. So what I'm afraid of. Like when people say hashtag, stop saying hashtag in front of things. So vax is the word of the year. And then the other thing we talked about this morning that I found so distressing was the amount of money that seniors are being bilked of by scams, online scams, phone scams, Facebook scams, which is an online scam, And you had talked about how there's one locally.
Yeah, we just had a story here locally of them
OPP warning?
popping up again.
Yeah.
And that involved relatives, people close to the individual who's called, whether it was a niece, a granddaughter, mother, parent, whatever. And we've heard of that one. That's not a new one. You get a phone call, your son's in jail, your son's been in an accident, your husband needs your help, he needs you to send. We've gotten those. We've heard more and more about those over the last couple of years. And that's what's popping up again, just over in the county, across the bridge. So that they want people to be wary and ask questions. And if they're asking for a large sum of money, definitely ask questions and maybe take a moment at least and think it through.
And before you think, who falls for those? The reason why they continue is because they are making money on them.
Yeah, they do work.
Because they're effective.
They know how to pull on those heartstrings.
And today is Tuesday, November the 2nd. So into the holiday season we go in 15 days or so. And that's when it becomes greater because our generosity feelings go up. We want to give more money to charity.
Holiday season, yeah.
Gets a little bit darker, a little bit more tired, maybe more susceptible. I don't want to use the word gullible, but susceptible
Depression.
to, so it's
Loneliness.
like, okay, right. So you answer a few of these and then you get taken. So they're going to become a little bit more prevalent. But a survey came out, a study report was published on the top scams that have cost seniors over the past year to year and a half throughout the pandemic. Seniors are age 60 and over. Top ones are sweepstakes and lottery scams.
Yes, I can see that.
Business impersonator scams.
We've heard about those.
And the same thing, distress scams.
Yeah.
Like
someone's in trouble, they need your help.
They call at like 5:15 in the morning. So they get you from a dead
so
sleep.
you're not really awake.
Your grandchild needs help. $2,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money. Oh my God. And here's my bank account number.
Yeah.
Or here's my credit card number.
Of course,
And
here, whatever they need.
awful.
Yeah.
But then I read that the number one scam is romance scams. And boy, as I said this morning, you got to be a different level dirtbag to go after a widow or a widower with a romance scam to get them out of their money. And it begins primarily on dating apps and sites because, let's face it, fishermen go where the fish are. So that's where the lonely people are in a pandemic.
Yeah.
When they're lonely.
Which just heightened the loneliness.
So
that
some of
certain
it's
people feel.
catfishing, as we say. I'm not who I say I am.
It's not new, but yes.
Yeah. But you would think to go after a senior, but again, it's not
and
the
is it
romance they want, it's the money they
Is it
want.
specifically seniors?
No, but this scam is the one that's getting seniors the most right now.
Okay.
It's not the largest number of seniors who are victimized, but it is the largest amount of money, which means if you get stung in this one, it's for big dollars. It's not a $500 scam. It's a $50,000 scam.
Their life savings, their retirement.
Last year in North America, over $80 to $90 million was scammed out of seniors on romance scams.
Wow.
You aren't who you say you are. Can you send me money? I'll fly in and meet you. Or, my child. Oh, I have a child too, needs surgery. And I've been, talking to you online for months and I love you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
To prey upon that $90 million. So, forewarned
It is a next
forearmed.
level, but I would say anybody who's willing to scam or try and take money from people is just, it's awful because they're playing on their insecurities. They're playing on their, not fear.
Loneliness.
Vulnerabilities. That's what I was looking for, that word.
Yeah.
They're playing on their vulnerabilities, whether it be loneliness, fear, and there's a whole list of them. They're finding where the hole is, where the leak is, and trying to just get in that way. And that's not right.
Yeah.
Taking advantage. They're taking advantage.
I made the figure $50,000 up, but if you sent out 100 of those as a scammer, you only got to hit 2 of them.
If you get one, it could be, in this case, with the
you worked
with the
3-4 months on it. If you pull $50,000,
it could pay huge.
That is like you know what you're doing, and that's next level
It is, and you don't
stuff.
want to think of people that way.
I know.
You really don't.
I don't want to get up in the middle of the night to come in and do this job and thinking I'm waking those people up.
Exactly.
No, you're not.
You want to be happy around the holiday season, but you do also have to be careful. So
coming up tomorrow on the show. Do you consider yourself to be an honest person?
Speaking of scammers.
Now, and I do. I think we're honest people. How many daily lies would you have to tell, on average, before you would no longer consider yourself to be
Honest.
an honest person? And how many daily lies, on average, do we tell? And the answer is far less than we think.
Yes,
We
I was
think
very
we are
surprised
bigger liars than we are.
that there were more. Because yes, I consider myself an honest person
Yeah,
too.
so do I.
And well, thank you. but yeah, on average, I would say people tell. I'll say fibs because lies I think
right.
are a little more extreme.
You're right.
Fibs I would think would be higher than what they actually are, and I was surprised by that.
And we'll talk about the different kind of lies. Like there are the lies of omission.
Yes.
There are the lies to protect somebody's reputation or
Fibs.
feelings. And
say
then
they're-
there's self-preservation lies where you're going to lie because, to tell you the truth, would get you in a lot of trouble. But how often do we do it in a world of where you believe everything is fake news? No. There's very, very few serial liars.
And then
For the most people, we are honest.
There's the flip side of that if people are that honest, it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's coming up tomorrow. Also, your Burger Revolution Throwback Thursday will be unveiled. And because of our
Yes,
burgers.
we've been talking about our burgers and raising money.
Can't wait. We've got our song. So mine is the Danger Zone Burger. Hi, Kenny Loggins, with all due respect. Because of CFB Trenton and the airbase here. So mine is the sort of jet fuel Danger Zone burger because it's got a little bit of a kick at the end. A little bit of zoom to the burger.
It does, and it hits you after because we taste tested them, and I did try yours, and it was delicious. But it's the zings at the end, like you
Yep.
enjoy the burger, and there's like, oh, there it is.
7 seconds later,
Hello.
look what stays behind. Hi there.
Kind of like the dill too.
And the
with
dill
mine.
burger you've got.
It's very nice. It's not overpowering. It's just a nice flavor to it, and it does. It's like, oh yeah, enjoying that with the feta and the arugula. It all comes together. It's
Both of those
delicious.
available at Burger Revolution in Trenton. And then when the downtown store opens on Front Street in Belleville, yours will be available in Belleville. $1 from each is going to go to local organizations. You can get more about that on our Facebook page. So we'll be unveiling that tomorrow
And
morning.
that is our theme tomorrow.
Tomorrow is going to be the burgers. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. Look for us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, right here on our social media sites. Broadcasting the morning show at 6 till 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for a few more days so we get into Standard Time. Belleville, Ontario, Canada with Mark and Charity Mornings on 95.5 Hits FM. Enjoy your Tuesday.